Hey, welcome back. Quick video because we've got issues and I'm trying to sort them out. What are they? Let's take a look. So, the dramas I've got is I've got a sticking front brake caliper. It sticks bad and I can't work out what it is, so I'm going to pull the thing apart and have a look in there. So I'm going to strip it down. May have a bad seal in there. Piston may be no good, but it ain't happy, so it's got to come off or come apart. Now I've changed the hose because I thought it may be the hose, but it's not the hose. So I changed the pads. Thought maybe the pads were oversized, so I flipped them, flopped them with the other side, still sticking. And every time I put it together, it gets tighter. So once I pump up the brake pedal when putting it back together, that doesn't want to turn. I can turn it with a tire lever, but that's not what I want to do. So let's strip this thing apart and have a look at it. So I'm going to use this wheel as my workbench and we'll go with that. But what I have noticed is the dust boot has started to come out of the top, so that's not good. No, it doesn't make the caliper leak, but it's a dust boot and you want to keep dust out. So that has to be rectified to start with. Back in the day, when we wanted to let somebody know that we'd made a reject, we'd just pull this face at them, which meant the piston boot was not in properly and they had to fix their rejects. So I'm going to pop this piston out and go from there. So in the old PBR days, this is what we used to do. Ideally you want another rag in there, but it'll be right. So you get a rag, stuff that in over your inlet port, and then you just want to blow the air out. But don't put your fingers in here. So bang, just like that, it's out. Now you may get one with a sticking piston, and there is a trick that you get that out with, and I'll show you that. If you get one with a sticking piston, what we used to do in the factory was on the floor like this and just bang it dead flat on the bottom, and that'll break it loose and get it out. And if it doesn't come all the way out that way, put your air back in your inlet port and the piston will pop straight back out. Okay, so the piston's out. Now let's have a look at what we've got here. So inside the bore looks pretty good. I can't see any issues in there. Maybe let's have a look at the piston. Piston looks all right. There's a bit of gunk in there. I don't know if that's from the tire. That looks all right. In the boot, there's no rips or tears in that or anything, so that's all good. So if I just get a screwdriver, a clean screwdriver, because we don't want to put any crap in there, and we'll get that seal out with being careful not to do any damage. So we just pop that out like that, and that should peel out just like so. And then we can inspect the seal groove. Now it's quite dirty. Now that seal groove is what makes your piston return back after pressing the brake. So it may be in there is where the issue is. So I'm going to give that a good clean with a rag, get all that crap out and see what it looks like. well, I don't know how well you're going to see it, but that front of that dust boot that was out let a lot of dust in there, so that could be half of the issues that I'm having is because there's foreign objects in there. So I need to clean this out properly. I've cleaned up the seal groove. There was some crustiness in there, like clear, salty corrosion was inside that seal groove. So, but it's cleaning up nicely. I just need to clean the front of the dust seal and I'll be able to put it back together. Okie dokies. That is pretty much cleaned up enough now. Now the plan is to put it back together. Generally, you want Kluber oil to soak things in to get your lubrication right to put it back together, but I don't have that, so I'm just going to use brake fluid because it's kind of similar. And I'm going to just recoat this seal with some brake fluid just so it's nice and moist and is happy to seat back in its home. Now generally in the factory these used to come in bags of a few hundred, and these had to be soaked for 24 hours in oil before they were used for production. Obviously I'm not going to do that. So, let's see if I can get this. So, they used to pretty much sit like, kind of like that in production line. Then you pop your seal in and you work it around and you get it in just like that. And you want to do the same with your piston boot. So I'll clean that up, get that oiled up. We'll oil the piston up and then I'll show you how it goes back together as per factory. All right. Piston is oiled up and cleaned. Same with the boot. And I put a little bit of boot in the bore as well, just for extra. Now, what you generally want to do to start with is you've got your piston boot and you want to put it over that lip, flip him upside down, and then you want to bring that down off that, and you want to have it like that. That's how you get him in. And back in the day, I used to wear these gloves on the line because I was actually allergic to the Kluber oil and it used to make my hands lose the skin off them. And it was very painful. So I learned to do everything with these big, thick plating gloves. So now we've got our boot and piston together. What you want to do is you want to pinch the two sides to something like that, and you want to put the back bit in first, get him in, and then you want to squeeze your fingers around and get the front in just like that. And then you get your piston, you just get it into the ball like that, and then you just want to squeeze him down and it's in. That's all there is to it. Now, back on the line that I used to work on, we did 960 of these a day. So you can say I got some pretty good experience. Now have a look at that. The dust boot is fully seated in the housing and ready to go back on the car and see if it works now. Hopefully it does. Now I've just quickly bolted that on the car and already it's going together easier than what it did previously. So I'm hoping that's a good sign. So tighten the bolts, put the banjo bolt back in, connect the hose up, put some more fluid in, re-bleed it and see how we go. All together, done a little bit of bleeding. It's not 100% there, but it's back to pretty much where it was before I pulled it apart. And the only way to be able to turn the rotor, even with the brake pedal not depressed, was with the tyre iron. Have a look at this. I can turn it by hand now. Yeah, it's a little tight, but there was no way in hell that I could do that before, even with the brake pedal off, or not depressed. So it's made a huge difference, and when it comes time to drive this thing, I'm not going to be doing burnouts trying to turn that front wheel. So I'm going to call that a success. That's where I'm going to leave this video. Just a quick one to show you why nothing's coming out, because brakes have been holding me up. Literally, huh? Get it? Pun intended. Anyway, we'll see you next time. Ciao, ciao.